Joe McGrath, keeper of the Melbourne Cup Victoria Racing Club. Well, Bexley Station has a significant connection to the Melbourne Cup, and in 158 years of history, its significance is the 1883 Melbourne Cup winner in Martini-Henry. Martini-Henry was one of the greats in Melbourne Cup history. He was impeccably bred. He was by Muscat out of Sylvia, the first of 43 New Zealand bred horses ever to win a Melbourne Cup. He won the VRC Derby at his first start, and then 3 days later won the Melbourne Cup at his second. Unheard of, hasn't happened before or since, and certainly that's not lost on administrators down south in Melbourne, and certainly his place in history, Australian racing history, is well and truly secured. This is significantly a different story on the Lexus Melbourne Cup Tour, and to unearth, if you want to call it that, the whereabouts of such a horse as Martini-Henry. I mean, of course, there are other Melbourne Cup winners dotted around the country, but more or less his whereabouts was lost to historians, and we stumbled across it only a few months ago when we were looking to locate a few horses across Australia and other parts of the world. Found that he had in fact passed away, died in Longreach. One thing led to another, a call to the council, Longreach Regional Council, and sure enough, we located down to a water tower on the property, and this is where he is. Well, the Lexus Melbourne Cup Tour this year is 39 stops over 6 countries: Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, China, Japan and the UK. And certainly coming through Longreach is one of the key ones. We're not doing any unveilings of any other grave sites on this tour, and it's one of great significance, certainly in my mind. I mean, this horse was a quality individual. He's owned by the Honourable James White, who was a prolific owner back at the close of the 19th century. He owned 6 VRC Derby winners, 5 AJC Derby winners. He owned the 1877 and the 1883 Melbourne Cup winners. Had a property at Kirkham in Bowral. This horse, Martini-Henry, he secured for over 1,200 guineas from New Zealand. The mother, Sylvia, was a well-bred and good producer, very good producer. And of course, the sire of Martini-Henry was Muscat. He was also the sire of Carbine, one of the greats, if not the greatest of all, alongside Farlap and Makybe Diva as winners of the Melbourne Cup. So this horse here, Martini-Henry, his feats as a racehorse were extraordinary. His breeding was impeccable, and to locate him is a real joy, and we're delighted at the Victoria Racing Club. The Longreach Regional Council has embraced this whole story and this unfolding around Martini-Henry, and certainly the race club as well, the Jockey Club at Longreach. Their enthusiasm's been infectious, to say the least. So, look, we're delighted to be here. Great to bring the Cup back here on this year. It's the 159th running of the Melbourne Cup, and it's a day of great significance.